So Luton managed to win the first game of the League One season 1-0 at home against AFC Wimbledon. And in today's video, I'm here to give you 5 things which we learned from the game. Let's just say I think we got lucky with the 3 points, but it's 3 points, so I'm not going to complain too much. But in the video today, I am going to give you 5 things which I believe we learned from it. Smash the like button for me on today's video. Let me know down in the video comments what you learned from the game. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe. I make Luton and EFL content. And also, this Sunday at 11 AM UK time, I will be live streaming, going into this game in particular in a little bit more detail, answering any questions you guys have, and also talking about our latest signing, Jerry Yates. So if you're free and available, why don't you come along to the live stream and I will answer any questions you have. So like I said in the intro, it was a lucky win for Luton. We defended extremely well. In fact, both teams defended very well, but in terms of how both teams attacked, it wasn't great. It definitely wasn't the great advert for League One football, I have to be honest. And for Luton, the slow build-up play and lack of movement really had an impact, and that's the first thing which I want to talk about in the video. The build-up was far too slow. Now, if you couldn't tell, we are trying to play out from the back, and in pre-season, we actually was a lot better at doing it. I know it's pre-season, but that's only thing I can actually reflect on in terms of this brand new style which Matt Bloomfield is trying to implement in this season. I can only reflect on pre-season and what I saw there, but it definitely wasn't the same. There was a lack of movement. In pre-season, we were moving the ball quickly. There was movement when we had possession. Against Wimbledon, it was just far too slow, and there was no movement. I felt players were playing far too well. They weren't even close to each other for a start, and yeah, they weren't. You know, when someone receives the ball, especially like someone like Naki Wells, who was holding up play at times quite well, I felt, you need runners, and I felt there was no runners. In fact, there was a lack of space on the pitch, and we weren't creating that space, and we weren't just running. Players weren't doing decoy runs to open space up. It really was very passive. It just lacked a lot of excitement, didn't it, the game? It just wasn't great. And key players definitely didn't step up in this one. I also felt we lost a lot of our battles in the air. We lost a lot of aerial duels. We also lost a lot of ground battles as well. We kept losing the ball. Wimbledon ended up turning over the ball far too often in our midfield. The likes of Saville, who had an amazing pre-season, definitely didn't have the best of debuts, I have to be honest with you. He lost the ball quite a few times, and you're relying on someone like him to actually win the ball for you and give it the ball to the likes of Walsh, who can then start the move. Walsh, in my opinion, too many misplaced passes. There were times where he was doing these really cool like decoy turns, which would then open up even more space for himself. But because his execution in the pass wasn't great, we ended up losing the ball back. I thought Alli playing as that number 10, but more like a left-sided number 10, it didn't really suit him. In fact, he got better when he moved into the left wing-back spot, which I will talk about more towards the end of the video. Cal Naismith, I didn't think he was at his best, maybe. Look, first game of the season, I can expect players not being 100%, but he certainly wasn't at 100%, but he did play a part in our goal, which I will talk about in a second. Clark, I thought he struggled to get onto the ball, and you need someone like him to try and open the play up. I thought Chris Makosso, he was far too sloppy in possession. I don't know how he didn't get called for a foul throw, because he did it so many times in the second half, and from where I was sitting in the Kenny, it looked like he was doing a foul throw every single time. So yeah, I thought far too many players just didn't step up, really slow in our build-up. We weren't winning our second balls either. Wimbledon, I think, won that battle. And when they play like 11 players behind the ball, I said this in my match reaction, you've got to move the ball quickly. You've got to show some movement. Otherwise, the game's going to be so static, you're just not going to be able to break anyone down. And you're relying on a set piece or a mistake in order for a goal to happen. And that kind of just brings me on to my second point, which is the poor set pieces. Now, Wimbledon, if you didn't know, they are very organised, very structured at the back, and defending set pieces, they are so good at doing it. They have one of the best defences in the EFL last season, and defending against set pieces was one of their strengths. So it was always going to be difficult to try and break Wimbledon down through a set piece because they're so organised, they're so disciplined. Now, we did have one chance, which was a free, I think it was a corner actually. Makosso, he heads over, that was in the first half, and then in the second half, Walters, the initial, I think, corner got headed out towards the edge of the box, and then on the volley, or half volley, Walters has a go at goal. Good save from the keeper. I think it was going wide. I'm not too sure if it was actually going in, but that was a chance there. But apart from that, we really lacked any opportunities from our set pieces. In fact, the final ball was actually poor. Sometimes it didn't even beat first man. I think Zach Nelson did one in the second half and it was absolutely dreadful. You can't beat first man. There is a serious problem there. I do not like footballers who cannot beat first man on a set piece. It does my head in. I know sometimes they target the near post, but come on, at least beat the first, especially when it's like a 5'8" striker or something, you've got to at least get the ball over his head. But yeah, I thought the set pieces weren't good enough. The quality and delivery certainly wasn't there. And also, it is getting a bit frustrating when we're doing this, like, two players, like, for a short corner, they chat to each other, delay the game, which kills the momentum, which doesn't help when you're already struggling to break a team down, and then you deliver a poor ball. I don't know what's going on in terms of our set pieces, because Wickham, Matt Bloomfield's Wickham, the set pieces they were producing were a lot better than what I'm seeing. So I don't know what's going on here, because it certainly needs a lot of work, because that wasn't great. Moving on to my third point, which is about our right side of the pitch. Now, I've seen mixed reviews on how Walters performed against Wimbledon. I thought he got better as the game went on. But my biggest issue is I don't think Walters and Chris Makosso actually work as a right-sided pair. I think it's too inexperienced. I think although it's fantastic having these young players, I think Chris Makosso needs guidance, and I also think Walters needs guidance. You can't have two players that need to be guided throughout a game of football. I just don't think it's going to work. There were times I felt as a pair, communication wasn't quite there. I guess there is a language barrier between the two because, Makosso is from overseas. But still, there was still a lack of communication from them. I thought the passing was awful. The chemistry, they just couldn't. I don't think they were on the same wavelength throughout the match. Whereas if it was an Isaiah Jones in that position, someone who's a lot more confident, someone who's got a lot more match experience, I don't think you get that issue. Also, I don't think Mans Anderson was helping Makosso. So it might be a lot better to have McGuinness maybe as that centre, as that middleman in the back three. I'm going to have to see how this develops over the next couple of weeks, but I feel like there's a problem with Walters and Makosso. I noticed it against Tottenham, and I noticed it even more against Wimbledon. It's just not working. In fact, talking about the wing-back areas, the left side didn't also work. And if you are going to play wing-backs, you need to have a really good understanding between your right-sided centre-half and your left-side centre-half with the wing-back in order to get the ball up forward, in order to create chances, whipping crosses into the box. Your wing-backs provide the width and the creativity and also help defend. We didn't get any of that. It was pretty much more defensive, lacked attacking ability, lacked the transition to get in behind. It needs to be worked on, but I don't think we had the right personnel to play the wing-backs against Wimbledon. When we have Bramall, who is a more natural left wing-back, play in the next game against Peterborough, you see it on the left-hand side. You'll notice the difference. So maybe we're improving that aspect. But yeah, I'm really unsure with Makosso and Walters. I feel like it's just so inexperienced down that right-hand side. I've already mentioned it briefly, but I have to praise it because it was really good. And that is number 4, how good our solid defensive work was, and also the importance of Keeley in goal as that sweeper keeper. I thought a couple of times he came off his goal line. Imagine a goalkeeper coming off his goal line fantastic to see. Great reading of the play, made important slide tackles to make sure that Wimbledon didn't break away, and he just basically sniffed out the danger. I also thought he commanded his box quite well. His passing ability, as we all know, is very, very good. He is so comfortable. He's probably more comfortable in playing out from the back than some of our defenders. That's how good it is. It is amazing to watch. And he also didn't have any saves to make, if I'm being honest with you. Defensively, our defenders, everyone done well defensively. But more importantly, what Naismith did. Now, if you haven't watched our goal back, please watch it back, because Cal Naismith starts the move. Wimbledon put in a really dangerous ball into the box, and if Cal Naismith does not clear that ball, right behind him he's got a Wimbledon attacking player. He would have gone in behind, and there's a potential chance that Wimbledon could have scored. It's a very important defensive clearance that ended up starting the move. He clears it to Alli, who did a bit of trickery, went down the other end, gave it to Nahki Wells. Nahki Wells does the cross in, and we get that goal. Then that all starts through Cal Naismith winning the ball back and clearing out that dangerous ball. So I wanted to highlight how good defensively we was. In the past, I feel like we would have lost this game against Wimbledon, because that's typical Luton fashion. Not able to break a team down, and then they get that one chance and they score it. Whereas this time round, they only managed to get into the box 3 times. So I have to praise how good defensively we was. And then finally, I have spoken about him, and I have already briefly mentioned him, Alli. I don't think he is this number 10 play behind the striker role. I don't think it suits him. He's so much better out wide. For me, there's no surprise that when he got pushed out wide, when Nigel Longwick came off the pitch, Alli played left wing back, which is what I actually wanted from the start of the game, because I felt Alli, you could just push him further forward and you can take the risk of him being a very attacking left wing back, and then we could cover the defensive side of things. But when he got put as the left wing back, he got onto the ball a lot more, and he was able to drive at the Wimbledon defenders a lot more and be really dangerous. Whereas in that number 10 role, he just struggled to get onto the ball. He wasn't able to go 1v1 with a Wimbledon defender. He found it quite difficult. You know, he didn't get that space which he wanted. When he's out wide in that left wing back spot, he does have that space. So it is a question on what Matt Bloomfield is going to do going forward, because you've got this one player who, yes, can play as a striker, can play out wide and can be really dangerous, but at the same time, you're not really going to play him in his best position, because if you're playing with wing-backs, he's not really a left wing-back. Although he can fill in there, that's not his natural position. There's no surprise that we scored the goal with Alli having an impact on the left-hand side when he was out wide, picked the ball up from Cal Naismith, clearing the ball. He does a bit of trickery and he's able to drive into space, give the ball to Nahki Wells. That's not a surprise there. If he was playing as a number 10, I don't think he does that. So for me, we're going to have to figure this out in terms of who's the best player to play in what position. So it's a headache for Matt Bloomfield, but after performances like we witnessed last night, I think he will solve this quite quickly, because there's only so many times you can trial and error different ways of playing before it gets really messy and you stop picking up results. But for us, we got the result, so I can't complain too much. But as we all know, things definitely need to improve. So that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please smash the like button on today's video. It does help the video perform better on YouTube. Let me know what you learned from the game. If I've missed out anything, please let me know. I only wanted to pick out 5 things. Just remember that. Of course, I could have picked out quite a lot more. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe. I make Luton and EFL content. If you are free and available, I am live streaming tomorrow at 11 AM UK time. And yeah, I'll see you all in my next video.